I am a little late getting started today. I want to say I think that's the first time ever I was listening to a live rendition of Prince doing Motherless Child, and I really got lost. I just got lost. Anyway, I'm here now. I don't know what Geo is into, but I'm waiting to see if she's able to join me tonight. And if so, I guess we'll proceed with our discussion on chapters 6 and 7 of Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. So let's give her a few minutes. I was late posting things. She may have figured that I was not going to come through. I knew I was, but I didn't know how late I was going to be. Um, so I'm going to, I guess, mute myself. Or is there something I want to talk about to the screen? I don't really like talking to myself too much publicly, that is. Privately, all the time. um, so yeah, I feel pretty unprepared, but I want to keep moving because it's a long book. We were off last week uh, due to the passing of my big brother. Um, and so we took off last week, and I wanted us to get back on track this week, but everything doesn't go the way I want it to go, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't know. All right, well, I'm going to mute myself for a minute and come back shortly. I don't think I tested my speakers, so maybe let me do that. Yes. Testing, testing. All right, in the test. And here comes Geo Moses. So maybe we will move forward. She gets connected good.
Hey, I made it. Hey.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just sitting here talking to myself.
Perfectly normal.
Yeah, I think so. And I was just telling whoever may be listening that I I was actually late. Did I even start the go live? Let me put the recording on.
Oh, it says
Uh,
live. Yeah.
Custom live streaming. I don't know what's going on. I do think we're live streaming. Yes. Um, I was late, like a minute, starting the live stream today, which I don't think I have ever done before. But I got lost listening to Prince's live rendition of Motherless Child.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh, I have to share the link with you.
Please do, because he has
Yeah,
some gems, boy. Hmm.
yeah,
talented,
Yeah.
talented man.
And then I was explaining, why we got off track last week because of my brother's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get us back on track because it's a long book and we still have a good ways to go. And I didn't want, us to get too far delayed.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, uh, I did not do a deep reading of these two chapters after
Okay.
after calling you to say let's do two chapters.
It sounded like a good idea.
It sounded like a good idea. But I mean, if you feel, if you got into them, I did read the book a long time ago. I do know the basic ideas, and I did skim both of these chapters. So if you could kind of lead the conversation, we could keep going. Otherwise, we could just reshuffle the deck. But I just assume keep going. Vanita, she's really, really um,
Oh,
having a tough battle, a flare up with lupus.
oh
Uh,
man.
she's trying to get back to us, but I just really, I don't know, how that's gonna go. Um, she thinks it's because
Um,
of the strange weather that,
oh yeah.
because normally she can predict when a flare up is going to come and what's going to trigger it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this kind of has been a tough one.
Yeah, we've had some weird weather all over. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think?
Man.
Are you feeling
You know what? Yuval wants to make me scream and pull the rest of my hair out and run off into the woods.
I know that's right. Well, if you lead, I will follow. I did do enough to write. Let me share it. Uh what did I write? It's not even, I can't even call it an actual summary, but
Okay.
it was enough for me to um get the live feed posted.
Okay.
And it just says in chapters 6 and 7, Building Pyramids and Memory Overload, the story of agriculture in particular gets us into the question of how we got ourselves in the present mess of greed, alienation, poverty, and war, etc., but also considers how imagined realities are essential in sustaining mass cooperation. Moreover, as Homo sapiens societies grew, the means of storing mathematical and written data needed by empires emerged. So,
Yeah.
nothing earth shattering. I'm not even sure those were the key points, but
Well, I think so.
okay, okay,
Without
okay.
without going into what the heck happened. Can we go back, please? No.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm Michelle Odom
Oh yeah, we forgot
in
that part.
Brooklyn, New York. And
Okay.
know,
And I am distraught and disenchanted, Georgette Moses in Columbia, South Carolina. No, I'm not
why are you
distraught.
distraught and
No, I'm not.
disenchanted?
No, well, well, no, actually, I'm not because after reading um these two chapters, certain things kind of gelled with some other stuff that I dabble in, and I'm like, oh my god. The big picture is slowly coming into focus. And
Yeah,
so stuff that we call conspiracy theories may in fact have a foot in the material world, maybe 2 feet. I'm like, okay, yeah. You
yeah,
know, it's just quite interesting
yeah,
that what are we doing here? You know,
Well,
as
I saw a post I think yesterday or today. It was a quote by um, Jane Goodall, and she was saying, I don't understand how humans ever thought it was a good idea to plant our food with toxins.
mm,
Yeah, we are some interesting creatures. I always wonder what other animals think about us.
well, according to our good friend Yuval, it's because we've convinced ourselves that these hierarchies are necessary. Otherwise, it'll all fall apart because the people on the bottom, of course, love doing all the work. And of course, the people on the top love having all the proceeds from that hard work.
Right.
And if
Or
you
the who is it? Hammurabi, that divides the populations into the superior beings and the commoners, and you know, uh,
the peasants, did he say the peasants or whatever? No, slaves. Okay,
yeah,
servants, whatever. That person on the bottom. Oh, he's getting the shaft.
yeah, yeah. See, that's why I take all of this rigmarole with the MAGA types that's going on. I take it seriously because I know belief matters more than truth, you know.
Doesn't it?
And if
Hmm.
you can get folks to believe something, no matter how outrageous, when I think just about the lies people have told about me, and I'm like, do you know me at all? you
And
know,
first of all, why? Why is this a concern? Okay.
right? But that's why I understand the truth. You know, it hardly gets a voice. But all of these imagined realities are so intriguing, so entertaining. And people grab onto them, and they get a foothold, and that's it. You are centuries trying to undo the work of a lie or an imagined reality.
Well, it's part of the system. Ah, this system of control. And he says he has so many. Like, yeah, that's right. Hey, the indoctrination must begin when the child is born into the system. You must believe in these particular, what does he call them? Imagined. Oh my goodness. I was just looking at
Reality.
yeah, I think that is the word he used.
Mm-hmm.
Um because this is our order and we understand it's imagined, but what would you do without it? So you can use violence to keep it running. But the most effective method, and I think he mentions is priests could do the work of millions of men in an army just by
Right.
getting you to believe in a particular thing. So it's back to um what did he say about this imagined order is that there are many things that you can use to get all of the people to cooperate with the imagined order, be it the myth of, whatever your myths are, the spiritual myths, political myths, or just appeal to their greed, right? You want money? You got some money. Okay, just go along with the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like, you know, and as I'm thinking about it now, it's like the devil, right? And he's like, he said, well, what do you need? Oh, but you should go along with it, right? Because if you don't, Do you really want to go back to eating bugs and looking for worms under that rock while
Right,
everybody else over here in the group?
right,
Oh
right.
my goodness. He really makes a great uh he links it all together. You know, he links this history of agricultural misstep to the situations we're in now because we have to maintain the illusion and or but isn't that, although we do see examples of it, okay, mega, right? We do see examples of when you cease to believe in the communal imagined order because somebody you believe more has told you thus and such, and it appeals to you in some of these whatever the physical, psychological, spiritual ways, whatever, then it will fall apart. But I refuse to believe there are some people, some rational folks who can think outside of, first of all, recognize, right, the illusion as it, because it's not benefiting, it's not growing, it's actually crumbling, right? Who is it benefiting? It's doing a lot of destruction.
Right.
So people who can think outside of that and realize, yes, this is a trap,
Mm-hmm.
but how do we get out of it? Okay, I got to buy my time. I have to pay my bills, right? So I need the money. So I'll still
Right.
go to work, but I know it's wrong. I know something is wrong about this overpriced rent, this overpriced mortgage, this overpriced food. But and then how do we break out of these systems, ingrained systems of thought, these belief systems, these shared myths to try to change that. And I think he says in probably I think it's about the end of near the end of the chapter 6 that okay, one person knowing the truth and trying to do something about it is still all alone. How are you
That's
going
what
to
I was looking for. Yeah.
right? Because you can't. How do you turn an ocean liner?
Right.
Going to be slow, but first you got to get to the helm, and you got to keep the rest of the people from knowing this ocean liner is turning, or they have to be on board with it turning around. So,
Yeah. It's not it's not easy, and that's why I always talk about a 500-year plan. And which, in the span of human history is still a short amount of time. Right?
man,
It's just that I just believe people can't really even 500 years is hard to wrap your head around. But real change is taking a lot longer than that. But one of my friends always asked me, so what goes into a 500-year plan? And I always say something to the effect of, um, it, I for me that's not the question, because I think that so many good people who do see the imaginary nature and the folly of our ways have already developed plans. They may not be for 500 years, but they're essential building blocks of positive things we could be doing to build toward the future. And so I think the issue is finding those works. We may need to tweak them. We may need to spread them out over some generations. But I don't think the issue is, can we figure out what a plan should be? But for me, it's how to execute it, how to transmit it from generation to generation. Um, that's tricky. That's tricky. And if I were going to devote brain cells to it, that's what I would rather be thinking about. Um, but I absolutely think if your view is not long term like that, then there's not a real discussion happening about change, because human history just shows us we don't change on a dime like that.
Yeah.
I don't care how upset you are, how mad you are, how outraged you are with the state of affairs. We don't change like that.
Yeah. You made me think about the picture he paints at the beginning of this chapter of the difference between, or the transition from the hunter gatherer
Mm-hmm.
to that agriculturalist having to think about, okay, many years down the line, I need to store this food. Okay, I need to make
Yes.
more. I need to farm more than I need today so I can have it for next month, next year, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only did our connection to the land sever, but now we were consumed with our little piece of survival
And the future.
and the future. And all of our efforts were geared toward, this is the only way I'm going to survive. My family is going to survive. Is this land right here, planting this corn or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know, building
Mm-hmm.
more fences around my little farm,
Mm-hmm.
and looking side eyed at my neighbor. Don't come over here. I'll shoot you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Just very isolationist,
Right.
in these small, until it was necessary, right, to become a kingdom. Then
Right.
just the development of it. And we weren't even taught these kind of things,
No.
in and not even in college courses. My goodness.
No.
And I think he mentions too that part of the imagined order, indoctrination and keeping it going is, what do you say, social sciences and liberal arts.
Yes. Yeah, and not only that Geo, but the music, the artwork, the sculptures, everything around us is reinforcing the order,
Yeah.
and that's why I always say it's so important the kind of music that we listen to, because it's programming us. you
It's
know
that effect. And who are the people that understand these things and then not only make money off of it, right, or further their particular agendas, but and who are the ones who recognize just how the brain works, how the human brain works, right, and what things affect us, on an energetic level, and
hmm
and the history of it all. It should give you pause, right?
hmm hmm
It might have you to pull your children out of a public school, or maybe that parochial school you have them in, because that's another, form of indoctrination. Uh,
But
uh,
the thing is, if you teach your children to just be straight up rebels, which, I, of course, would love, um, but it then means that is likely to make their lives that much harder, because now they're not going along with the social order, but you still have to survive,
yeah,
and as Harari is pointing out, it's not so easy to just go back and be a hunter gatherer, not in a world where private property reigns. And, so even if you saw some nuts over there on the tree, You can't just go get them. You know what I mean? So
Yes, yes.
it's like, yeah, you want to teach your child that, this is all a lot of BS going on here. But on the other hand, if you don't learn how to function within the BS,
Yeah.
then you could be setting your child up for a very harsh existence.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. It's a delicate balance. How do you sit little Johnny and Paulette down and tell him, look, all of this stuff is make believe,
Right,
but you
right,
can't click your heels together 3 times. It's
right.
going on.
And as he talks about, even when you think you're escaping, you just are escaping into a
A
bigger
larger
prison.
prison. Yes. Now that's where the disillusion came in. I'm like, no, Yuval, no.
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. This
Ah,
is not easy stuff.
it, it, mm,
It's not
it
easy stuff, and that's why I'm kind of amused, but also, I don't know. I feel some kind of way that every youthful generation, wants to look at the older generation and accuse them of failing to have done what was necessary to change this mother. And
yes.
that's why I'm just like, okay, then you do it.
All right. And I read someplace, I didn't get into the article, that what is it Gen Z? I don't even know what they are anymore. Is beefing with the millennials, saying that they hung them out to dry, and I'm like, wow.
Right, right. And I just want to tell them it's deeper than that. It's bigger than that.
Yes, yes, because they don't have this book.
Right,
They don't know.
right, right. I was so pleased the other day. I was on the subway and I looked across from me and there was a young Black woman and she was sitting there with a hardcover book. I don't know what the title was, but it looked like some kind of Black women's empowerment thing. And I was like, yes.
Okay. And keep reading. Hey. Oh,
That's that's the only way I can see, because you can't transmit all of this in a conversation. And we're such an oral people. But I think that there are real limits to what you can get people to really understand in a verbal setting, that you need to sit with this and you need to ponder it and at your own
yes.
pace,
Mhm.
read it and read it again. That's why I say, yeah, me and Vanita, we like, yeah, we're reading Yuval again.
And I understand because there are so many, prescient and absolutely mind-blowing concepts that he has in here that open your eyes, like, was I ready for that? Okay, let me
Right.
just highlight that and I'll come back to you. Okay.
Like,
I'll make a little.
human rights are not real.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so mind blowing. So, but he's right. We made it up so that the order, the hierarchy, imagined hierarchy could just function. Yeah. And if
Yeah,
that don't work, well, we got this pitchfork you can sit on. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God. Oh, who is that? That Voltaire? Oh my God. His quote from that was so hilarious. Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
Or the our precious Declaration of Independence.
Yes. And isn't it interesting? And I need to look this up. Hammurabi's was 1776 BC and theirs was 1776 AD. I'm like, did they do that on purpose? Okay, was this a big
Right.
yes, we're hearkening back to, Hammurabi.
Right. That's
Mm,
that eye for an eye. Shit, I gotta say, I'm glad we moved
okay.
on from that.
Well, some of us have. And it's so interesting, right? You have the Code of Hammurabi, and you read, you know, some of the what he's quoted there reminds you of, oh, if thy brother, what is it? An eye for an eye, tooth for the tooth in the Bible, right? So I'm like, okay, yes, this is another example of that. They plagiarized this from a bunch of ancient documents and just threw it together because it was part of that imagined hierarchy we need to maintain. If we
Yes,
have to borrow it from some other civilization,
right,
we're gonna keep you in line, right? Yeah.
right, right.
Mm-mm-mm.
But effective, or oh, here it is.
What?
Uh a writing, this is the next chapter, a
Mhm.
writing exercise from a school in ancient Mesopotamia, bottom of page 128 into 129. A writing exercise from a school in ancient Mesopotamia discovered by modern archaeologists gives us a glimpse into the lives of these students some 4,000 years ago. I went in and sat down, and my teacher read my tablet. He said, "There's something missing," and he caned me. One of the people in charge said, "Why did you open your mouth without my permission?" And he caned me. The one in charge of rules said, "Why did you get out without my permission?" And he caned me. The gatekeeper said, "Why are you going out without my permission?" And he caned me. The keeper of the beer jug said, "Why did you get some without my permission?" And he caned me. The Sumerian
Oh
teacher
my
said,
God.
"Why did you speak Akkadian?" And he caned me. My teacher said, "Your handwriting is no good." And he caned me.
Oh my goodness. Ha, ha, ha. Oh,
And that's
wow.
been it all along. We went from the wide open earth, just being able to roam freely and experience all the fascinating wonders of the world. Um, essentially without rules, without control, um, just being in touch with our instincts and our nature to total control.
Yeah, but we think it's progress. Well, they tell us it's progress.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So I don't know, Gio. I'm a Sagittarius, so I have to have a degree of freedom, or I just can't. I can't get up in the morning.
Okay, with you.
But I pay the price. I pay the price in not having um a traditional experience of what we call success in today's world. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with it. Because
Yeah,
I
look.
gotta, I've never, even before I encountered Harari, I just was never comfortable going along with the bullshit. I just always had questions about, but why? you know, and,
Yes.
and the answers never satisfied me, you
Mm,
know. So I definitely am sure that we're not all living um experiencing this in the same way, and it's to a degree. I mean, I'm not such a rebel that I refuse to use dollar bills because capitalism is not real. I mean, I still have to function within this
That's right.
world, and but I mean, you do what you can. Like during on the chapter 7, where he's talking about the invention of writing and documenting um, data that is needed by empires. And I'm a writer, so writing is very precious to me, but it leaves me a little bitter to think about how it really comes out of a need for empires to be able to track their shit. Right?
Yeah.
But my brother that just passed, he was a rebel personality, and he didn't want a funeral, he didn't want a memorial, he didn't even want an obituary.
Hey,
And I'm like, wow, now that's interesting.
that is rebellious. That's the people who know and loved him. No, and that's it. And
Yeah, no record. And then I was telling Vanita about that today, and then she started telling me about a woman that she knows who has traveled all over the world. Um, she's about 80 years old, but she never takes pictures. The only way you know that she's done the things that she talks about is from her passport. And so Vanita asked her, "Well, how come you don't take pictures?" And she said, "Because I believe in living in the present moment. And the pictures of what I have seen are in my head. Um and that's it." And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting too.
hey, if it works for her, she's happy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've come to the point where I don't like to be in the picture, but I will take pictures of the people who are there. And
Yeah.
then I'll use it, like for a birthday post or something, because going through my own journey of trying to put the family tree together and find ancestors wherever they may be. I am running into such a problem of lack of documentation because people who ain't talk about nothing. If you weren't there, you won't
Right.
know, okay? Who
Right.
baby
Right.
that is?
Right.
Who name
Right.
on the birth certificate? Okay.
Right. Right.
If there was a birth certificate. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So,
And I just, because I like to write, I just always think of why the written record is so important. Like my brother saying, he doesn't want an obituary, and I'm thinking about the future. And well, what
someone will
what if
come
his
along.
grandkids,
Yeah.
want to know some of these details? And
Hmm.
I don't.
Well, Michelle, you as the self-appointed family historian must take it upon yourself to create the
Well,
document.
I could do it. I could certainly do it. Um, but then there's the issue of respecting his wishes.
Hey, them grandkids ain't gonna care. They're so happy. Oh my God, Aunt Michelle, bless her soul, she wrote it down. We know how crazy he was. No, he didn't want
Yeah,
nothing, but we want to know. So yeah, yes,
yeah.
I
Well,
say
we
do it.
are. I met with my brothers, my two remaining brothers the other day,
Um,
and we my brother didn't want a memorial, but we are going to have a Zoom event, um,
um,
so that family and friends around the country can share their memories of Mark. And I said, well, he didn't
mhm.
want a memorial, so what are we going to call it? And my brother, the
What?
pastor, said, a remembrance.
Yes, yes, yes. That's right. That sounds good.
So
Hmm.
I need to call the obituary something other than an obituary.
Hmm.
Mark's story.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the story of Mark. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no,
Oh, what I just had a thought. What you could use. Well, this might not be proper, but I was thinking Mark, whatever the date of his birth was and the year, the two numbers of his year, so it's like a Bible passage.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Or
Mark
whatever.
Mark 3:25.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point really is chapter 7, which is titled Memory Overload, is all about documentation, how humans develop, or Homo sapiens develop tools for storing numbers, like how much taxes, how much you owed in taxes, um, and written documentation, because our brains can't keep, but so much straight in our heads. And and that's why I say, for me, the trick to the 500-year plan is how to keep transmitting the essence of it from generation to generation,
Mhm.
and how you document it. I mean, you know, my first thought, of course, would be a written document. But we also know that, we've gone from not being allowed to read and write to thoroughly embracing reading and writing, to, now kind of being like, not so crazy about reading and writing. So it becomes a question of, so what is the mechanism? Music um, is a potential, uh, uh, something that, but our taste in music changes. So right now we're all about the hip hop, and and you can see how you could um, put key messages in that form of music. But what happens when hip hop is no longer in vogue?
Yeah.
I um my friend Leon, did you participate in the book group we did on Eddie Glaude's book? I don't think you did. I think it was
No.
it was Karen, but he was my co-host on that book. And he was in town the other day, because there has been an exhibit going on at the Brooklyn Central Library on Jay-Z.
Oh.
And it just ended. And I wish he had mentioned it earlier, because I had time to go. Um, but we were trying to go see it. We come bopping up. He takes the train up from South Jersey. He gets into New York maybe around 1 o'clock or so. And, we just kind of, the trains tend to be horrible on the weekend, the subway system. So by
Hmm.
the time we got to the Brooklyn Library, it was about 3 o'clock. We're thinking no problem, because the exhibit is open until 6 o'clock. We start walking up this long street, this line of people. I don't know, Gio. I didn't try to count it. There had to be at least 1,000 people online.
What? To see Jay-Z exhibits.
to see a Jay-Z. And this was the day before the closing of the exhibit. We
Oh,
stood online on a cold, almost winter day for 2.5 hours. We're feet away from the door. We're
mhm.
thinking, yeah, we might make it, because they had come out and announced that they were going to close the doors at 5:30. So it's 5:25 and we're feet away from getting in the door.
Yes.
And they come out and they're like, I'm sorry, no more people today. So we didn't make it.
Oh.
But it was stunning to see all those people. 99.9% Black. Um, I would say, mixed ages, but probably a lot of people like in their 40s or so.
Mm.
Um, Everyone looking beautiful and everyone being well behaved, and it was just really an awesome sight. But yeah, I mean, I told Leon, I mean, I couldn't name a Jay-Z song if you paid me. You know,
What? You ain't a Hub fan?
I'm sorry.
Well,
But
hey.
but it was stunning to see the cultural impact, the love for this man. Leon is a
Ah,
businessman, so he's impressed by Jay-Z's business,
okay. Okay.
impact.
But
Um, but it was just stunning. It was just stunning. And so I did have myself a little listening party that that morning to try to, get some of the music in my head and understand what the big appeal was. And there were a few songs that I really enjoyed.
mhm.
Um, so I'm just saying I can see how music could be a vehicle of transmitting a long-term plan. But only if that form of music stays current, and
Mm,
nothing ever does.
mm. Yeah.
So, okay, so if that's the case, um, then I guess the answer is there have to be multiple ways of transmitting a plan. There does need to be a written plan and a musical plan. And I don't know, maybe a numerical plan or, you know,
Mm. Well, the problem I see, and I don't know, well, I see it as a difficulty, is the uncontrolled um encouragement of AI into this creative sphere. So I watched a couple of videos, some documentaries, some interviews of people who are either in or near uh, that industry or who are affected by it. And it panders to, at least I believe, the laziness that humans have become. We've become quite lazy mentally and physically. And so to just type a couple of words into a chat GPT prompt and then be specific enough for it to just spit out hundreds, maybe thousands of whatever pictures you need or paragraphs you need for your project that you can then link up to this other graphic program that also uses an AI that will then paint for you with whatever medium you choose. Um, how do you get the attention of people for a plan such as yours or anyone else's plan when they seem to be consumed, hypnotized, uh, obsessed with this new toy that is not a toy? It is an evolved and evolving consciousness. And it's ingrained, it's ingrained in everything. Microsoft, the search engine. Oh, we're going to just, do this update on your program, the operating system. You have an AI. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll find my stuff. Hey, Google is enough. That Google AI is enough for me. Okay, follow me around. Now I'm gonna have you over here talking to me. No, thank you.
Right.
Okay. So how do you, I mean, either you will have to find a way to use this new and burgeoning technology that it ain't going nowhere, okay, unless we lose electricity, period.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we lose ones and zeros, it
Mm-hmm.
will be part of humanity going forward. So I know you're thinking of classical ways of expanding and disseminating that information, but you're going to, if you wanted to survive, you're going to have to think about, educate yourself about how would AI play in, negatively and positively into this idea that I have, this thing that I'm really, yeah, I mean, you've talked about this, Michelle, for as long as I've known you. And so perhaps you could find a way to make it work for you.
I'm not trying to be the one to take it um to that level. I mean, if I hadn't spent the last 25 years dealing with chronic illnesses, then I might have had the energy for that. Um, and I'm feeling a lot better these days. And I've been thinking about, well, does this mean you're supposed to rejoin life? Or, you know, what do I do with myself now? But I don't think that I have the need um, to play that role. Um, I think that I've always been aware um, that there are a lot of good ideas out there, a lot of good ideas out there. Um, Partly, I think, because, I grew up in a progressive civil rights family, but also at a young age, I was working for some human rights attorneys, and I became exposed to a lot of the advocacy work and movements that were happening, mostly in the United States, but also internationally. So I've always known that there's a cadre of people that um, are aware of the problem and trying to do within their own sphere as much as they can do. It's been more, and I think that's how I started. I don't even want to say developing the ideal, but that's how I started becoming aware of, it's not that we're not trying to create change. But what I saw happening was people being very frustrated that change was not occurring within their lifetime or within the 3 or 4 years that they were willing to sacrifice to contribute to a movement. That's when I started becoming aware of it's a much more complex issue that we're dealing with, and it's not going to be solved, in my lifetime or the next lifetime, no matter how much we sacrifice. And that was freeing for me in a way because I didn't feel like I had to be a martyr. I didn't feel like I had to have all the answers. It just made me feel like, I have to control what I can control, which is my own behavior. How I treat myself, how I treat the earth, how I treat my child, and not much else. And if I have a few hours left over to stuff some envelopes, okay, but I'm not going to pretend that this activity is going to change the hearts and minds of men, because it's much deeper than that. Um, so that's why I say there are a lot of plans out there. I mean, I like what Nicole used to say, and I've kind of always felt that way. That one day some scholar is going to come across our videos and take them very seriously. And they may be asking the question, did anybody see the end of the world coming? Did anybody care? Was anybody talking about anything other than, whatever Taylor Swift was doing? And they will take our video seriously, and take it to another level. um and yeah, I mean, so that's why I always keep saying 500 year, 500 year, 500. I just want people to start thinking about, this is not a short, we're dealing with deep doo-doo.
Ah, yes,
It's
yes.
like we're in quicksand, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and so I don't think there's any one idea or any one approach. And I think that we really get ourselves caught up on, I'm the one with the answer, and all we need is for everybody to follow my plan. Well, that ain't happening. you because it's more complex than that. I mean, if you can sacrifice as much as a Martin Luther King, or a Malcolm X or a Gandhi, and we still, where
Mm,
we are is deeper than that. So I say enough with the fantastic gestures, and I, I don't think that's the way. And that's what I see, that people are looking, we're looking for a quick fix.
mm,
We want to
mm.
know that if we get out there and we march down the Capitol Mall, that's it. Everything we say we want is gonna happen. And then we're disillusioned when it doesn't. And so, politics don't matter. And then we don't want to do anything,
Mhm.
you know. So I'm really about thinking about, how do we break this into bite-sized pieces? We got to eat an elephant. How do we break it into bite-sized pieces so that our role and our contribution begins to feel manageable to us, not something that's going to drive us to insanity or suicide or homicide, but that allows us to live life in a reasonable way while also doing little droplet style contributions to a better world,
Mm.
you know. And I think that's it. I mean, I think it's so much about, you know, I literally I have been sick for 25 years. And you know, my doctors, my medical doctors helped me significantly, but they couldn't do anything about the fatigue or the brain fog. And so I'm talking to my friend, a new friend recently. I told you about this, and he mentioned black seed oil. Rocked my world. He has given me back a degree of health I have not felt for almost half my life. And so
Wow.
I'm telling my brother Larry about it the other day. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've been taking black seed oil for
And he ain't tell you.
years.
He ain't tell you.
And I'm like, well, do you think you could have helped the sister out? And he's known how sick I've been all this time. But it just, that's why I, even though I don't think you can transmit everything verbally, I do think our oral connections, our verbal communications are important because you just never know when you're going to say something that is transformative in somebody's life. And so my friend that mentioned it, he just happens to be a talker. He wasn't trying to help me. He was, he was just talking about his own stuff. And I happen to be a real listener. But I could have heard it if my brother had mentioned it,
Hmm.
you know. So I think so many things have gotten in our way. You know, we don't, you know, as Harari talks about in one of the earlier chapters, the importance of gossip,
Mm. Yes. Hmm.
you know. And that's all this is, you know. Um, but so many things have gotten in the way of us talking to each other uh like we used to. You know, we don't trust each other. We don't come together to just, you know, go to each other's house and play cards and talk shit, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's a real loss. And you know, I mean, even I just my experience on Facebook, um where I used to be able to have wonderful conversations with people on Facebook. um but then, you know, the word started passing that, you know, the cops were using Facebook to hunt people down, and corporations were using Facebook to weed people out, and you know, Mark Zuckerberg was selling your information to make money. And you
Right.
know, and I started to say slowly but surely, but actually rather quickly, people started pulling back, withholding, not wanting to talk, not even wanting to hit a like button to let you know that they're there.
Hmm.
Um, but we can't get anywhere, you know, without that kind without communicating with each other.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't need to write the plan, but I'm just leaving some seeds for somebody that wants to do that kind of work. But I think about Dr. Amos Wilson and the what is his blueprint? Oh, Amos Wilson's blueprint. What I can't let me I gotta look it up because
Okay.
I have to leave the name of that on this
Okay.
discussion. Amos Wilson. Is it Blueprint for Black Power? Um, Blueprint. Yeah, Blueprint for Black Power by
Okay.
Amos Wilson, who was a psychologist. Um, and even as I read that title, it makes me think about the diversity that is our world. And yeah, I mean, he was writing this a couple of decades ago, and there was still um I would say a greater sense of cohesiveness in the Black community, and um a need for Black power, and framing it that way as a viable approach. Um, but I mean, I've got a mixed grandchild, and we all do, and and we're moving into something different here. And so, and when you look at Harari, it's not just about the change that Black people need. We're looking at a human problem.
Mhm.
Um, and so really, when you think of long term planning, how do we get Homo sapiens to a place where we can breathe?
That is a tall, tall order. Ah, well, wow. Uh, well, he's doing a great job of deconstructing the
Yeah,
problem.
that's what he does. And
Mhm.
he's not going to give us the solution, because
Maybe
that's
there
somebody,
is no solution. No, okay,
right,
no.
or that's somebody else's work.
Yeah.
But that's why I say I don't want to be the person to write a plan, because I'm aware that there are a lot of plans out there. For me, it's a question of how do we absorb the plans? How do we absorb and operationalize the plans that already exist? You know, given that they may need tweaking and consolidation, etc. But to me, it's like we keep going around in circles instead of, breaking out of the circle to move forward. And so a lot of people are anti-planning. I'm not anti-planning at all. I believe planning is essential. But I also understand that planning is a phase, and you should not get stuck there. At some point you have to move from the plan to the action. you
That's right.
know?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mm.
oh dear.
Well, well, just at this point of our exploration of the topic, the problem is this communally agreed upon imaginary hierarchy reinforced by all of these systems, belief systems, or physical pain. Right? So that's one thing I see. And then the other thing goes back to the beginning of the book, which is when we began to communicate, that changed our evolution. So perhaps if we could uh, analyze, okay, because I'm a big proponent of analyzing stuff. Okay, somehow we began to communicate more effectively. That began an evolution. What is the next step that we need to evolve
Mm,
to change, to phase shift from where we are, find ourselves trapped in this maze, in this glass globe within another glass globe.
mhm,
If we can see, explain, describe
mhm,
what that evolution would look like, whether or not AI, plays a part in that or not, or maybe it's something that we can just do with what we have already, with our own existing genetics and brain uh, and energy.
mhm, mhm,
Because there are, I just see so many little breadcrumbs around
mhm,
me. And one of them is especially this reoccurrence just recently in my world of this Enlil and Marduk situation and their relationship, the Babylonian relationship to Betelgeuse or Beetlejuice, however you want to pronounce it, getting, getting ready to explode when they don't know, or the supernova. But the worship, and then that there's a connection of the worship of these gods and this star. And I'm like, and it's not just, regular common people in the past who worship this thing. They've built their hierarchy, their imaginary hierarchies and power systems of power on this star. I'm like, why? And what you gonna do when it's supernovas? Okay. So it just feels like it's a bunch of houses of cards, right?
yes,
And if we can find a way to collapse them, maybe perhaps the control over our evolution, our positive evolution will be gone. And then we can, transform into who we're really supposed to be on this planet, in this universe.
yeah.
Hey, the aliens buzzing by saying, nope, they ain't ready yet. They still worshiping that star over there. No.
Yeah, I was having a good dialogue with one of my great uh, Facebook friends, Frank Berkeley. You've
Uh-huh.
probably seen some of our conversations.
Yes, yes.
And this was recently. Um, he had posted something about truth and um, I don't know, maybe everybody not being quite ready for truth, but he was saying he didn't really understand what it meant. And I was saying it made sense to me because, the expression, the truth will set you free. Um, but we're not always ready for freedom. So he was like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, you know, the truth has consequences. And, I said, for example, let's say you're dependent, on your spouse financially, and you decide to truthfully tell them you're not in love with them anymore. They may set you free, you know. But you now have to be ready to make up for that financial dependence some other kind of way. And you may not be ready for that. So instead of telling the truth that you've fallen out of love, you continue to pretend. So really, I'm just saying, I think that for all that is wrong with Homo sapiens, um, we are aware of the benefits that we receive by going along with these imaginary programs. Um, and if we, but we don't know what's on the other side of, well, if I stop participating, if I just, tell the truth, this is BS, I'm not going along with it. That, you got to be prepared to deal with the consequences because they're coming. They are coming
Yes.
for you. You know?
Because the
So,
only way a strike works is if everybody strikes.
right. I mean, that's why I say I don't know if we really want freedom. You have to really want freedom. You have to really be willing to deal with the consequences. And, I mean, just like there were supposedly slaves who didn't want to leave the plantation, it's scary out there. you know,
Right. Ah,
you know.
mm,
So that's the thing. I think that every generation has had their opportunity to say, no, the buck stops here. I'm not, no, I'm not going to work the farm just because grandma did it. you
yes.
know? But then,
Oh,
but then what?
that's right. Now you're going to Burger King and okay. You want fries with
yeah,
that shake? Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Um,
not enough of us, there are those rebel souls, yes, who will, deal with the consequences, whatever, and as the rest of the world looks on at them in pity, you know. But then there never seemed to be enough to actually, what did you say,
yeah,
steer the
that
ship.
ocean liner around. And
Yeah,
then
turn.
and then the other piece of that is too is that the people, the levels that benefit from, the illusion continuing, oh, they've already thought about, wait, oh, well, what might happen? Oh, we gotta make sure we got something ready to nip that in the bud.
Oh, they got a 500-year plan.
Right, they
you
got it. They're ready for you, okay?
know?
Oh, you thought
Yeah,
you wanted to be free. Let me show you
yeah,
what that smells like.
yes, yes. They got a plan and they
Mm.
have a few key strategies and techniques that they have worked out over centuries that are
Right.
effective.
Yeah.
Like that divide and conquer thing. That thing works like magic.
All the time. All we need is one. We just need one.
Yeah.
It got 'em.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
Or
my
the
goodness.
betrayal. They know, like, who was it? Oh, I know he wishes I could call his name, but I can't. There's a black man who's running for something and national politician.
Uh-huh.
And he had a little speech on Facebook the other day saying that he had turned down $20 million that somebody had tried to give him to run against Ilhan Omar. And
Oh.
he wouldn't do it because he's an upstanding guy and he ain't gonna be bought and all of that.
by 20 million.
by 20 million. Right. You make it 25, maybe we could talk.
Okay. I'll send
But
out some
that's,
tweets. No.
yes, but that's the thing. If he turned it down, good on him. But the next guy they try to buy, he's gonna take it.
Yeah, because he got bills.
Because he got yes,
Yeah.
yes. So they've got all of these resources and strategies that work. And to me, I
Yeah.
used to be fascinated, but how is it that we, you know, keep selling Manhattan for trinkets oh, over and over? How does that? What? Where's the learning curve? Like you say, he got
Oh,
bills.
yeah. Hey, once we moved into that little tiny farmhouse, forsaking the wide open spaces of nature, because we thought a couple of potatoes and a carrot or two in the larder was that was yeah, that's this is making it. We making it now.
Right, right.
Mm. We can't be all there is. Well, we're only on chapter 7. Oh, come on, Yuval. Give us hope. Give us hope.
he, he's not really a hopeful
You're
guy.
not gonna give it? Okay, all right. I need to give up my hope now. Okay.
No, he's not a pessimist, but he's just I would call him a realist. He wants us to look clear eyed at the problem so that we can think through solutions, with a real picture.
Solutions. Interesting term. I don't see. Oh well, give me a ring. Shoot me an email if you come up with any solutions. That's your
Yeah,
ball. But
yeah.
you know,
No,
your
he
home.
he wants us to understand just how oh well, this is a little pessimistic.
What?
There's no bottom of page 118. There is no way out of the imagined order. When we break down our prison walls and run towards freedom, we are in fact running into the more spacious exercise yard of a bigger prison. Okay, Yuval,
Oh my.
take some happy pills and write another book.
We need you to have a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Write something with hope. Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
yes,
Um,
yes. So, Benita, who gets quite testy if you call her a pessimist because she calls herself a realist. She just fell in love with Yuval Noah Harari.
because he was telling it like it is. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Yes, yes, it's like red pill, blue pill.
Hey.
Yeah. Anyway, G.O. Moses. Let's call it a night
Okay.
and come back next week with the final chapter in the agriculture section. And then we're on break for a while. Let me see.
Okay.
2 weeks break. So we come back next week and then we are off until January 9th for
Okay.
the holidays. And I tell you, I told you I was late getting set up today and um just having a hard time. Not a hard time, but um I just got a lot. It just feels like I have a lot going on. Now my brothers have roped me into planning the non-memorial memorial for for
Okay.
my brother. And it's just always something. It's okay. I don't think that's going to take up that much energy. But I was thinking, maybe this is going to be the last book I have in me. But maybe after that, I would just maybe we can just host some private, maybe a monthly private dialogue, so that any of us that want to get, like, I know me and Benita don't want to lose touch with you, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'm about, you know, I think we have really, I'm so proud of us, Gio. I think we have really left a tremendous collection of 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 shared wisdom,
I think so too.
and I'm happy about that. And but you know how intense I am. I like to really do things when when all of my passion is in it, and I'm starting to feel pulled in a lot of different directions, probably because I'm getting my energy back, right?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. But that's okay. Um the things we do best, we do and we enjoy doing them, right?
Hmm.
We feel like we have a purpose. It's
Hmm.
not draining all the energy from us, so we can come and look at it fresh every day. And so,
Hmm.
hey, look, it's a time for everything. There's a season for everything. Hey, this is the season. It's
Well,
okay.
I mean, we started this in 2014, so we're almost 10 years.
I can't
Yeah,
believe it don't feel like 10 years. My
I
goodness.
know.
Where
I
did the time go?
know.
No. How many books was that? No.
Right. Right. And so, so I think I am feeling like it's time to just shift my energy a bit.
And that's fine. Look, you find peace with that because this is Michelle's journey. And the rest of us, along for the ride and we give and we take, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And people come by and they watch and they're, oh, what's this book? Oh, look, that was funny. Oh, she said something so insightful. Who's that person? You're right. We're leaving a legacy. And people criticize sports athletes or stars when they leave at the top. It's because why leave when you're all broken up and you just don't care anymore, right?
Right. Right.
So hey, it's a thing. It's a
Right.
human thing, and we're good with
Right.
it. So
Right. But because of the way I do it, and I'm sure there are other ways of doing it, but because of the way I do it, it's actually a lot of work, setting up the events and, posting about them and all of that stuff. But when we
mhm.
have our little private meetings, that's nothing.
Okay.
That's why I
That's
said, oh,
good.
I could do that.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, Michelle, you did. People don't realize who have never done it how much work you put into it because you cared, right? You cared about the product that was being produced. You cared about the experience other people who participated or who watched were going to have. And hey, let's just face it, there's not a lot of people out there interested in doing that kind of thing for free. You did it for free. You did it because you love books, you love information, and I feel like you loved us.
I
Okay.
absolutely. I love you. I love all that I learned from talking to other people and meeting. I love meeting new people and um so yeah, it has definitely been enriching for me, you know. Um and I suppose there are not a lot of people with my particular skill set that could do it, this way. And because of where I was in my life, I mean, I really believe um, book group saved my life because, I was homeless when we started this journey. And I was talking to a doctor friend of mine the other day about my brother. And she's somebody that I had stayed with briefly when I first became homeless. And she was like, I'm just so proud of you that you have come out of this with your mind intact and your heart intact. And I was like, yeah, that was very intentional for me. I knew, I knew from the beginning that no matter what happened, I wanted to keep my capacity to think and feel. And I knew that I was seeing so much ugliness, but I needed to give myself something to focus on, um, that would break my view of all this
Yeah.
madness going on over here. And book group really did that. It gave me a structure and a focus. And you of course have been there from the beginning.
Wow.
So I feel like I got as much as I gave, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So all right, Miss Moses.
You make me sound like a school teacher. Miss Moses, can we
Grandma
go?
Moses.
Right, right, right. Oh my God. And I am. Grandma, can we play Roblox now? No, just wait.
Yeah, yeah,
It's life. We gotta be happy to live it, however it comes at us.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, so have a good week.
Thank you, Michelle. You
Oh,
too.
what got disconnected? Oh,
What?
I don't know. I think it was my speaker. It has a
Okay.
life of its own.
All
So.
right. Now, if you see any shadows walking around, you leave it, okay?
uh, okay, I will see you next week.
All right. Have a good week.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye.